Let me tell you something most men only realize after they've already poured too much of themselves into someone who never really saw them. You don't always need a final text. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to give a grand speech or find the perfect way to say goodbye. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can ever do is walk away in complete silence. Not because you're bitter, not because you're trying to prove a point, but because your energy, your presence, your peace, those things are sacred, and if someone couldn't recognize that while they had access to it, they don't deserve a single extra piece of it on your way out. We're raised in a world that teaches us to chase, to fix, to explain ourselves over and over again until we're emotionally worn out and broken down. We're told to fight for love, even when love stopped fighting for us. But here's the truth. Not every story deserves closure. Not every moment requires explanation. Sometimes silence is not just a reaction, it's a revolution. It's the moment you stop begging to be understood and finally start respecting yourself enough not to care whether she ever gets it. This isn't about making her regret. This isn't about revenge. This is about dignity. This is about understanding that you are no longer available for situations that drain you, confuse you, or make you feel like you're not enough. You're no longer available for proving yourself to someone who made you question your own worth. That's not healing. That's self-destruction, dressed up as love. And if you're ready to stop bleeding just to prove you can hold someone together, if you're ready to stop chasing clarity from people who thrive in chaos, then keep reading. Because this mindset isn't about healing just to feel better. It's about evolving so you never go back. Point 1. She doesn't deserve your last words. Keep them for yourself. There's going to be that moment, that urge to send one last text. You'll be tempted to pour your heart out, thinking it will bring you closure. You'll want to tell her how much it hurt, how much you cared, how hard you tried. You'll feel like it's noble, like it's the right thing to do. But stop and ask yourself, why are you offering your final words to someone who already stopped listening? That message isn't for her. It's for the version of you that still wants to be seen, still wants to feel like you mattered. But the most seen you'll ever be is in your absence, when you don't explain, when you don't chase, when you disappear without the need to make her understand anything. That's when the silence becomes louder than anything you could have said. When you keep your final words for yourself, you're not just letting go of her, you're reclaiming your voice, you're protecting your story, you're choosing not to let her be the one who closes your chapter. You do that. You're the author now. Let her sit with the silence. Let her wonder. Let her feel the space where your presence used to be. Because when a man walks away without needing to be understood, without needing to be right, without needing to explain, he becomes unforgettable. Not because he said the perfect thing, but because he had the strength to say nothing at all. Point 2. You're not cold. You're finally warm to yourself. People will say you've gone cold. They'll call you distant, disconnected, hardened. But what they won't talk about is everything that led you here. They won't mention the months, maybe years, where you showed up with an open heart and empty hands, just trying to be enough. They won't talk about the way you kept giving love without asking for anything in return. The way you held space for her pain, forgave her silence, waited through her uncertainty. They won't talk about the effort you made, the times you stayed when you had every reason to walk. No, they'll just see the silence and say, you've changed. But here's the truth. You didn't turn cold. You just stopped burning yourself out to keep someone else warm. What they call cold is really just you turning your warmth inward. It's you choosing to stop chasing people who treat your consistency like a convenience. It's you finally learning that peace matters more than being understood by someone who never made the effort to understand you. You're not shutting her out. You're letting yourself in. You're not punishing her. You're prioritizing you. You've realized that you can't keep setting yourself on fire just to light up someone else's darkness. There comes a point where you stop trying to prove your worth to someone who never truly saw it in the first place. You gave her chances. You offered grace. You stayed present when it was easier to walk away, and when all of that still wasn't enough for her, when your love went unrecognized, you didn't fall apart, you didn't beg, you didn't explode, you just quietly backed away. And that isn't heartlessness, that's healing, that's strength, that's growth. Because the moment you start pouring into yourself with the same consistency, the same patience, the same loyalty you once gave her, that's when you begin to feel whole again. That's when the warmth returns. But this time, it's not borrowed. It's not dependent on someone else. It's yours, fully, finally, and forever yours. So no, you're not cold. You're no longer available for emotional confusion. You're no longer stretching yourself thin for someone who called your effort too much while offering you the bare minimum. You've drawn the line, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. And now, you're finally giving yourself everything you used to beg someone else to give you. That's not cold, that's power. Quick break. The course shuts down soon, only a few spots left. You think you have time? You don't. Every second you hesitate, someone else is with your dream girl while you sit there doing nothing. If you want to get the girl you've always wanted, there are secrets you should know. And that's exactly what we provide. The truth they never taught you. The game they don't want you to play. You have two choices. Stay average and watch her over Instagram without her noticing your existence, or take action and learn the secrets that will change everything. This is your final shot to get in at this price. Next time, it'll cost you more, if there's even a next time. Winners move, losers lose. Click the link in the description if you truly want to change. Let's continue. Point 3. Her confusion is not your emergency. Here's a trap a lot of men fall into. You feel responsible for fixing her uncertainty. The moment she starts acting confused, saying things like, "I just need time," or "I don't know what I want," something inside you kicks in. You start thinking it's your job to hold the pieces together, to help her figure it out, to give her space while still proving your worth. You bend, you wait, you try to be understanding, thinking if you're patient enough, she'll come around. But here's the truth you need to hear. Her confusion is not your emergency. It's not your responsibility to untangle the emotional mess she created. It's not your job to interpret her mixed signals like you're decoding a secret language. Because a woman who truly values you will not leave you drowning in uncertainty. A woman who sees your worth will not keep you guessing. When someone is unclear about you, it's because they're okay with the idea of losing you. That's the hard reality. And once you accept that, everything changes. You stop putting yourself through emotional gymnastics, trying to make sense of nonsense. You stop offering clarity in response to her inconsistency. You stop over-explaining, overthinking, overstaying. You realize that the more you try to fix what she hasn't even asked you to fix, the more you betray yourself. You don't need to match her confusion with effort. You match it with space. You meet her silence with your own. If she's uncertain, let her be. That's not your burden to carry. You're not a puzzle, you're peace. And peace doesn't beg to be figured out. Peace doesn't twist itself into knots to earn someone's clarity. You don't need to solve her indecision. You need to stop giving your emotional availability to someone who doesn't know how to value it. When you finally understand that her uncertainty is a reflection of her, not you, you free yourself. You stop chasing answers and start standing firm in your own worth, because real love doesn't leave you guessing. And if she's confused about you, that's already your answer. Point 4. Stop holding the door open for someone who slammed theirs in your face. Let's talk about closure. We chase it like it's something we're owed. Like if we can just get that one final conversation, that one honest explanation, then maybe we'll be able to breathe again. Maybe the pain will stop. Maybe the confusion will clear. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Closure isn't something someone else gives you. It's something you give yourself the moment you stop waiting for them to make it easier to let go. Because if she slammed the door on you, if she walked away with silence, disrespect, betrayal, or indifference, then standing there hoping she'll return and apologize is only prolonging your own suffering. Every time you hold that door open, you're leaving space for more pain, more confusion, more disrespect. You're not just waiting, you're handing over your power. And for what? For someone who already made the choice to leave you out in the cold. Someone who decided that your loyalty, your presence, your heart weren't worth staying for. That's not love, that's emotional abandonment dressed in false hope. Stop waiting for her to come back and explain herself. Stop hoping she'll knock and say she made a mistake, because even if she does come back, it doesn't undo what she did. The real strength isn't in welcoming her return, it's in recognizing that you never needed her permission to move forward. You don't need her to close the door. You don't need a goodbye speech. You just need to stop staring at the space where she used to be. Build a wall where that door used to be. Not to block love, but to protect your self-worth. Not to harden your heart, but to remind yourself that you deserve better than someone who walked away without looking back. Protect that space. Honor what you gave. And then walk forward. Not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. Out of self-respect. Because your future isn't behind that door. It's not in the echo of unanswered texts or the silence of someone who never cared enough to explain. Your future is ahead of you, in the home you build within yourself. A place where love is mutual, respect is constant, and you no longer beg to be chosen. So close the door, lock it, then turn and walk into the next chapter with your head high and your heart intact. Because the truth is, you never needed her to close it. You just needed the courage to stop standing there waiting. Point 5. Don't become the man. She left. Become the man she'll never reach again. You might think the goal is to win her back, to prove that you can be everything she ever wanted. You might be tempted to believe that by changing for her, by becoming a better version of yourself in her eyes, you'll somehow get the chance to make things right. But here's the truth. She didn't leave because you weren't enough. She left because the version of you she left behind tolerated too much. She left because you gave more than she could ever appreciate. And now, your mission isn't to try to fix that man, the one who begged, who sacrificed, who lost himself just to keep her. Your mission is to leave him behind completely. Let him go. Let him stay a memory, a version of yourself that no longer serves you. While she's stuck in that memory of who you were, you're moving forward. You're growing into someone she wouldn't even recognize if she came across you now. You're building a version of yourself that doesn't need her validation or approval. It's about more than just getting revenge, more than just showing her she was wrong. It's about rebirth. It's about becoming so solid in who you are that by the time she even thinks to look over her shoulder, she doesn't see the man who begged or the man who was desperate to be loved. She sees a man who has evolved so far beyond her that her apology wouldn't even reach him. Hit the gym, refocus your energy, find a purpose that drives you and gives you life beyond the relationship. Rebuild your mindset from the ground up, not because you need her to see it, but because you owe it to yourself to become the best version of you. The kind of man who is not just healed, but powerful. And when she sees the new you, if she sees you at all, she'll realize that she left something behind, something irreplaceable. And that realization will come too late, because by then, you'll be miles ahead, living a life that's yours to create, not one defined by someone else's absence. Point 6. If she could replace you, fast. She never had you deep. I know it stings. I know it cuts like a knife when you give your heart, your time, and your effort, only for her to move on quickly. 1 minute, you're everything to her, and the next, she's out there laughing in someone else's Instagram story, living her life like it never even mattered. It feels like a slap in the face. But let me remind you, speed is not depth. Just because she found someone quickly doesn't mean she replaced you emotionally. People rebound because they're trying to distract themselves from the pain of healing, not because they've found someone better. It's a distraction, not a solution. You, on the other hand, are not in a race. You're in recovery. And real men, they heal in silence. They don't go from one relationship to the next just to fill the void. They take the time to rebuild, to rediscover who they are without someone else's validation. You are evolving, growing into someone stronger, more grounded, and more aligned with your purpose. Meanwhile, she's still repeating the same patterns, trying to find a quick fix, not realizing she's only delaying her own healing. She didn't replace you, she avoided herself, and the weight of that avoidance will hit her. The silence you leave behind will become louder than any "I miss you" she could ever type. You're not just a person she can move on from. You are a lesson she'll carry with her, and eventually she'll understand the depth of what she lost. By the time that happens, you'll already be far beyond where she left you. Point 7. She'll miss the version of you she'll never get again. She will miss you, not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day she'll come across your name or see a picture of you, and something inside her will stir. It won't be instant, but it will be undeniable. She'll remember how safe she felt with you, how your presence was a constant in her life. She'll think back to the moments when you were there, showing up for her when others couldn't. The patience you gave, the loyalty you offered, the emotional space you held when it seemed like no one else was willing to. And in that moment, when she's sitting with that nostalgia, she'll realize the painful truth. She let go of a man who was everything she needed, but couldn't fully appreciate at the time. But here's the kicker. This realization will be too late. The man she misses, the man who was willing to wait, the man who poured his heart into her even when it wasn't easy, that man is gone. He's evolved. He's no longer the version who would stay indefinitely in hopes of a change. You've moved forward, transformed, and evolved into someone unrecognizable to her. You didn't just walk away in anger or bitterness. You walked away because you learned your worth. You closed the door on the part of you who would have continued to wait for love to be reciprocated. You gave up the idea of needing someone else to validate your value. And that's where the real shift happens. She will miss the version of you she could have had, one who was giving, open, and patient, but she'll also realize that the man you are now, the one who has learned to love himself first and who knows his worth, is a version she'll never reach again. The man you've become is too strong, too grounded, and too self-aware to return to someone who wasn't ready to value him. In her moments of clarity, when she realizes what she let slip through her fingers, the silence you left behind will be deafening. It will be louder than any text, any apology, or any moment of regret. Because that silence, that's your peace, and it speaks volumes. It will show her that not only have you moved on, but you've moved forward in ways she can't even begin to understand. And while she's trapped in the past, replaying memories, you're building a future that doesn't include her. Let her carry that weight. Let her miss the version of you she'll never get again. The man you've become is no longer waiting. He's already loving himself enough not to return to a situation where he was never truly valued. The new you doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't stay in the shadows hoping for a change. You've become your own source of light, and that's something no one, including her, can ever take from you. Lastly, mastering silence, mastering power. If you're feeling this, it's because you're done. You're done being the one who chases, the one who runs after someone's approval or validation. You've realized that true power doesn't come from constantly proving yourself. It comes from knowing your worth and standing firm in it, regardless of who notices. You're ready to be the one who walks away quietly, not because you're bitter, but because you found peace in your own presence. The world might tell you that power is loud, that it's about making a scene or demanding attention. But real power? It's silent, it's steady, it's the strength to walk away without needing anyone's permission, the courage to evolve without looking back. When you master that, when you stop chasing and start walking in the quiet strength of your own growth, you become unforgettable. And that's when the world will finally see the power that's always been within you. The kind of power that isn't defined by anyone else's acknowledgement. It's your power. If you found this insight valuable, make sure to subscribe to The Girl's Mind for more wisdom on mastering your life and attraction. Until next time, stay strong, stay centered, and always remember, the key to attraction isn't in chasing, it's in being. But for those of you who are serious about stepping up and taking control, I've created a one-on-one chat with me. Choose your package and let's solve any problem you're facing, whether it's crushing your goals or handling that conversation with a girl.